This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what you need to know today. Armenia has one of the lowest rates of perceived public sector corruption of any country in the broader region, according to Transparency International. In its yearly report out today, the Germany-based nonprofit gave Armenia 47 out of 100 points, the second highest score of any country in the Eastern Europe and Central Asia region. That represents a 1-point gain year-on-year for Armenia and makes it one of only 28 countries whose scores improved this year. Armenia has overall improved 12 points in the index since 2018, the year Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan came to power on an anti-corruption platform. However, Transparency International warned today that progress against corruption in Armenia now appears to be stalling, primarily due to the limited implementation of anti-corruption reforms put in place by Pashinyan's administration. Still, Armenia now outranks nearly the entire region, including even European Union aspirants like Moldova and Ukraine. Only Georgia at 53 points placed higher, despite declining by 3 points year-on-year. Collectively, the Eastern Europe and Central Asia region remains one of the worst scoring regions in the world on public perceptions of corruption. A senior Armenian diplomat has called on Turkey to play a more positive role in stalled normalization talks with Azerbaijan in response to apparent threats to the country by a leading Turkish lawmaker. Ankara can play a much more constructive role in the Armenia-Azerbaijan normalization process, Deputy Foreign Minister Vahan Kostanyan insisted today, pointing to the potential opening of Armenia's long-shuttered border with Turkey as a confidence-building step. Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan said last week there has been no recent progress toward opening the border, despite the two countries reaching a preliminary agreement 2 years ago to do so at the earliest date possible. Kostanyan's comments came just one day after Hulusi Akar, the head of the Turkish Parliament's Defense Committee and a former defense minister, warned that if Armenia does not accept Azerbaijan's extended hand as soon as possible, then history will repeat itself, the same way Armenia suffered very serious damage and paid the price during the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war. In other foreign policy news, Armenia's prime minister and top diplomat have signaled their intention to continue deepening ties with Iran in separate meetings with a senior aide to that country's supreme leader. Meeting yesterday in Yerevan with Kamal Hazari, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's foreign policy advisor, Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Mirzoyan each pledged to further develop and strengthen ties, particularly in trade. In addition, both officials signaled their appreciation of Iran's opposition to Azerbaijan's renewed demands for an extraterritorial corridor through Armenia, according to readouts. Harazi's meetings in Armenia marked the first stop on the first visit by a high-ranking Iranian delegation to the South Caucasus region since the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war. Armenia's Parliament Speaker has indicated his support for changing Armenia's anthem and coat of arms. In the latest sign, the government may be planning to push what could be a highly contentious overhaul to the country's basic law and state symbols. It is obvious to me that the anthem of Armenia should be changed sooner or later, Alen Simonyan, a close Pashinyan ally, wrote on his personal Telegram channel today. He did not immediately clarify what changes he would support. That comes just 2 weeks after Pashinyan asserted that Armenia needs a new constitution, not just constitutional amendments, remarks widely seen as related to efforts to revive negotiations with Azerbaijan. As of now, the constitution includes a section referring to calls for the unification of Armenia with Nagorno-Karabakh and for wider international recognition of the Armenian genocide. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 180. That's the number of countries and territories included in Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index this year. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.